Here's my 10-point plan for how to get it done. First, we should go back to our original mission of destroying Al-Qaeda and ensuring that Afghanistan does not become a haven for terrorists. Thus, we do not need to send more troops to Afghanistan, but can draw down troops and bring them home. Second, we should set a timetable for transferring counterinsurgency operations from American and international forces to the Afghan government. We need to send a clear message to the Karzai government that we will not be there indefinitely and fight their battles for them. Otherwise, Karzai has no incentive to reform or to deal with this growing opposition. And as we transfer counterinsurgency operations from our forces to the Afghan government, we need to focus more on our effort on training the Afghan army and police and providing security for the trainers and trainees. And we must insist on the quality and integrity of those we train, not just more numbers. Currently, too many are dropping out, and there is too much corruption among the Afghan police. We also need to send a clear message to the Afghan people who have been suffering with more than 30 years of war that we do not plan to be in their country indefinitely. Ultimately, this is their fight and their country. Third, we should encourage the opposition, led by Abdullah and others, to make their voices heard and keep the pressure on the Karzai government from within. Fourth, we must insist that Karzai take clear and demonstrable action to weed out corrupt officials in his government and replace them with people of integrity and competence. He must begin with his brother, who was involved with the opium trade, and we must immediately remove him from the CIA's payroll. I am not confident at all that Karzai will reform, but we must insist on it as a condition of our continuing engagement. Fifth, as we push Karzai to allow for an opposition to exist, as does any good democracy, we must also push Karzai, the Karzai government, toward negotiating with some of the elements known too broadly as the Taliban. We must take the excellent advice of General Petraeus and be very sophisticated about deciphering who are the, quote, reconcilables and who are the, quote, unreconcilables in Afghanistan. Those who want to reconcile and be part of the future of Afghanistan with a representative government should be brought into the fold. Those who don't must be defeated. But we have to be very smart about discerning between the two. A smaller but very well-trained, well-informed number of counterterrorism troops can do that. And they can do that more effectively in smaller numbers than they can with a surge of troops that may further alienate the population. Sixth, rather than imposing a Western-style democracy on Afghanistan, we need to be more cognizant of Afghan traditions and encourage their own representative democratic tradition, the Afghan tribal bottom-up system of the Loya Jirga Grand Council. 7, we need to support economic development. That means building more roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and micro-enterprise as an alternative to the opium trade. It is in our national interest to prevent Afghanistan from falling prey to a terrorist ideology that exploits chaos and economic hardship. To do this, we should fully fund immediately and rapidly develop the new Civilian Response Corps, an effort led by Secretary of State Clinton, coordinating 8 cabinet departments and government agencies. We need to enlist brave, idealistic American civilians who can bring their skills to this struggle. We need accountants and lawyers who can help to review contracts and work against rampant corruption, thwarting the success of the mission. We need people willing to step forward to ensure our aid to this country is going to the projects for which it is intended. 8, we need to focus on destroying Al-Qaeda globally by expanding our use of intelligence, special forces, and drone attacks. And we should explore creating a new international counterterrorism organization, a 21st century version of NATO for counterterrorism that will more rapidly share intelligence and coordinate measures among our strategic partners and allies, and partners to prevent future terrorist attacks on all of us. This is a strategy that has begun to take shape recently with noticeable success. There have been surgical strikes on specific targets in Somalia, Yemen, and Indonesia that have been successful. We need to build on these successes and continue in that direction of a smart, stealth form of counterterrorism. 9, as we draw down our commitment to Afghanistan, we need to refocus our efforts in Pakistan and do everything we can to support the new democracy there. We're spending $43 billion a year in Afghanistan and only $2 billion in Pakistan. And yet Al-Qaeda is in Pakistan, and Pakistan has nuclear weapons. We should explore a new Marshall Plan for both Pakistan and Afghanistan. that will send a message that we are committed for the long haul to provide aid and will promote stability and development in both of these countries. But that aid should be tied to reform and progress on the ground. 10th, we need to support our veterans and military families who are carrying an extraordinary burden because of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. We must ensure mandatory full funding for the Veterans Administration and provide every single veteran with the resources they need once they get home. And each of us must thank them and honor them for their extraordinary service and sacrifice for our country. All told, this is a new approach. Not simply a military strategy, but a comprehensive foreign policy strategy. Not counterinsurgency and nation building in Afghanistan, but ensuring Afghanistan does not become a haven for terrorists and fighting terrorism globally. Not a troop buildup, but ultimately a forced drawdown in Afghanistan and setting a timetable for transferring counterinsurgency operations to the Afghan government. Not simply and simplistically asserting we must bring our troops home, but providing a plan to do so, given complex realities. The choices in Afghanistan are not easy, but with the right strategy, we can redefine our mission and succeed in our fight against al-Qaeda. Each of us running for Senate in Massachusetts has a responsibility to share our views and our plans on what must be done. And we in Massachusetts have a unique opportunity to send a message to Washington. We need a change in direction. We need a more thoughtful and comprehensive approach to counterterrorism and the situation in Afghanistan. And we need an end to mindless, expansive wars in the Middle East and Central Asia, and the unending cost to American families, lives, and treasure. I'd like to close by sharing the story of just one of the hundreds of thousands of brave men and women who have served our nation in Iraq and Afghanistan. I share it not to say that all veterans agree with me and what I've laid out today. Some may not. Rather, I share it to simply remind all of us, myself included, of the solemn responsibility we have to our nation, to our veterans, and most of all to our troops, to get this right. Mike Pereira is a 27-year-old combat veteran who served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Mike faced many challenges as a soldier, leaving home, training, and multiple deployments. But the hardest challenge was returning home. Within 3 months of returning from the desert, he lost his job, his fiancée, and a fellow veteran and close friend committed suicide. At Mike's lowest point, he reached out to the Mission Continues, a wonderful organization that helps wounded and disabled veterans adjust to coming home by getting them involved in civilian service to others. Mike was once again able to lead, organize, and reach out to others like himself in his community. As Mike said last week at a Veterans Day celebration attended by First Lady Michelle Obama, quote, "Not all of us can continue our service in the military, but we have a strong desire to continue to serve in our communities. And through your efforts and ours, we will build a stronger nation." Mike is a true patriot and a hero. Mike Pereira reminds us all of the human cost of this war, but also that with an undaunted spirit, we can find our way. Thank you all very much.